Hello everyone, welcome to CollectAWrestlePalooza. Today I will be talking about the WWF LJNs. More specifically, I'll be discussing how to buy these WWF LJN raw or loose figures on eBay and what to look out for. It's my belief that a lot of the figures in circulation are touched up, and I think a lot of times sellers don't even realize that they're selling a touched up figure. Recently I purchased a Brutus the Barber beefcake for, $20, $25. It seemed like a great price for a near mint figure. When I got it home, I looked at the gloves under a magnifying glass, and it was very clear that the gloves had been repainted black. I contacted the seller, he had no idea, and I believed him. I think that a lot of times people are selling these figures and they're touched up and people don't even realize it. So my first bit of advice is invest in a magnifying glass. Get something that has lighting on it so you can really inspect the figure. This was, I think, $19.99 and it works great. Get something with the highest magnification that you can find. And when you get the figure, inspect it. Now, that doesn't help you, of course, if you find that something was touched up that you bought and you didn't think it was, but at least it'll give you peace of mind when you go to resell it that you're selling something that you're not going to pass along the problem. These are 3 figures that I recently purchased that in one case I knew it was touched up, in 2 cases I was not sure. And when I got the figure, there were signs that possibly these had been hit with some paint prior to sale. Now, I don't think that the sellers knew it. I don't think that I'm not going to hold anyone accountable for this outside of just enlightening folks that this can happen. So I'm going to start with the Coco B Ware. As you know, these are sought after figures, particularly the Coco and the one-man gang. When I received Coco, I noticed that on his stomach and on his back, there are brushstrokes of white. I'm going to call this one inconclusive though, because I'm not actually sure if that's a touch-up or that was a factory issue. When these figures were made, it was not like toy production today. It was the Wild West. So when you look at the wrestler's trunk, sometimes you'll see an A, a B, or a C. There are a lot of different factories that were licensed to produce these. And in many cases, the factories didn't always produce them with the same quality or with the same paint. So seeing, for instance, on the lapels, some overpainting, that type of thing, that's not necessarily indicative of a touch-up. However, it's something to say, hey, I should look at this a little bit closer. The reason that I believe this is suspect is this white paint. So if you look, you can see a visible brushstroke in the back. You can see on the hand. There's some ghosting of white. But I think it's inconclusive because when I look at the jacket does not appear to have any visible signs of touch-up. Usually you'll see brushstrokes on the area that was touched up. Now maybe they did a washed out paint, maybe they thinned it out. But the reason that it's also inconclusive is I think that whoever did the touch-up would have probably wiped all of this off. And also, the fact that it's over the trunks, why would there be a brushstroke on this side of the back as opposed to right under the jacket? So this could just be a factory error, but I think it's probably indicative of a touch-up. So if I ever resell this figure, I will definitely notate that in the description. Regardless, it's a great figure. Other than that, it's in great shape and it looks great on the shelf, so no complaints. Second figure, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. This one is a little more conclusively a touch-up. Again, I bought this near mint. I'm not unhappy. The face, the hair, the eyes are obviously original and it looked great. So this figure was not in bad shape when it was touched up. You can see also on the torso and the pecs here, there's no signs of dirt. Usually you'll see dirt on these deep grooves. And also you'll often see some signs of wear or abrasive where someone might have tried to clean the figure with an eraser or some sort of harsh abrasive to get any dirt off of it, and there's no signs of that. So I think this was a good Orndorff to begin with. I think it's a shame that someone decided to repaint it, but the reason I think it is in the boots, particularly on this boot here, you can see an irregular brushstroke over the edge of the boot. Again, not necessarily indicative of a touch-up. Sometimes they didn't paint these precisely. Sometimes they were sloppy from the factory. But if I look at it under the magnifying glass, there's differences in sheen. So when I look at the boots, you should see somewhat of a uniform sheen, maybe some wear from play, but this looks like someone painted it and then Mod Podged it. And the reason they would Mod Podge it is to, one, try to even the sheen, and two, to try to hide the brush strokes. Brush strokes are definitely what you're looking for when you're trying to find touch-ups. And I believe that they did the trunks as well, and the reason they did the trunks is so that they have the same color on the boots and the trunks. But again, regardless, I'm not unhappy with this figure. It looks great on the shelf, and it's outside of the touch-ups, it's a great representative of Orndorff. Final figure here, one-man gang. Now, the tip here is to look at areas where the gang is usually worn away. And of course, people that collect know it's the nose. I think this is a pristine one-man gang regardless. I think that there's a small dollop of paint on the nose. I think it's really well done. The color matching is fantastic. But the reason I think that is when I look at it on my magnifying glass, there's a slight area on the tip of the nose that's matte. It doesn't have the same sheen that the rest of the face does. So I think in this case, the factory paint was shiny, and I think that the touch-up was done with a matte acrylic. Again, I went back and forth on this, thinking, is this touched up? Is this not touched up? That's how good it is. But there's enough evidence to me that I would think that this probably is touched up. If it was anywhere else on the figure, if it was on his arm or anything like that where I saw that difference in sheen, I would not think that is the case, but because it's on the nose, I think it is. You know, just where it's so hard to find a gang with a nose that's intact. Now, the other reason that it's a little inconclusive is you look at the rest of the figure. So if this was a played with figure, you would be seeing black all over the arms and all over the face, but you only see it on a couple areas. So you would think that potentially whoever played with it didn't hit the face against anything. Maybe the face was intact, but I think that this is probably touched up. Now, the main point I'm making here, guys, is, collect the figures because you like how they look. In all three of these cases, I love them. They're for my personal collection. I don't think I'm going to resell them. And they look great on the shelf. So, I know that they may be touched up a little bit here and there, but I think it's important for buyers and for sellers to know what they're dealing with and to be very transparent in terms of what they're selling. So thank you, everyone. If you like this video, please be sure to hit the thumbs up, or even better, subscribe to my channel. I try to produce at least one video a week, and thank you very much.